It's three types. We're going to go to the next paragraph now, which is going to be, I'd say there's three, right? So this is going to be 1B. The first one is TV.
Yeah.
TV, physi, right, which is natural physical. And now we're going to do TV, nafshit, v'ruchanit, like a natural spiritual state.
Right. I feel like the divide is sort of like the body, and now it's more of like the psychological side of man.
Exactly. He brings down medicine in the first paragraph. He doesn't bring psychology because I think psychology doesn't even come close to what he's about to speak about. You know, medicine comes close to fixing someone physically.
Yeah. But
psychology, it's only in one limited area versus what we're about to talk now is something much bigger, which he calls here musar klayot.
Mm-hmm.
When something tells you something wrong, you know, inside you, in midot. For example, somebody who yells at their parents. Mm-hmm. You know, he didn't do anything physically improper, but he's not healthy. He can't, you know, somebody that doesn't have shalom body, he's yelling at his wife, right? So we're not talking about something that's physically wrong with somebody, or he's stealing. He's doing something that's against his musik, like he knows it's wrong. If somebody steals, they know it's wrong.
Yeah, they feel it.
Somebody's bullying someone in school, they know it's wrong. You're yelling, but you know it's wrong, and you can't be healthy, right? It's not your natural state, but it's a natural spiritual state versus a natural physical state, right? And it's bigger than psychology. He calls it musar klayot, which is your kidneys, something inside you which has your ethics that's built into a person, you know, of how to walk straight in life.
It's that compass that usually it manifests itself in the feeling of shame. Like you feel after you did something that you did something wrong. You don't feel good about it, and it's just like it's there. You don't even need to ask why you don't feel good about it. It's just obvious to you that you don't feel good about it. No one's going to ask you like, oh, why do you feel bad that you screamed at your parents?
That's right. And somebody who, like, say, we said before, eats too much fast food, he can't function. He's forced into developing go to tshuva to return to his physical healthy state. So too, someone who's stealing or acting, yelling at his parents or at his kids or vice versa, you know, he doesn't feel good. He has to change. There's something that's pushing him to change. He could fight it. You know, he could just put on the TV and ignore it, but it's bothering him. It's pushing him to change because it's built inside of us to grow, to do tshuva.
I think there might be a difference between the two. I think that initially what you said is 100% correct. There's this initial pushback, but I think maybe he's going to say it here that there is a point where there's like a tipping point where you can lose it.
You could get nishchat
I think so.
It's true, but it's just dormant. It's just not maybe aware, but it's always inside of us to have this musar klayot. It's very hard.
Meaning, he's not going to come to the place where he says, like, this is a good action. He might be able to ignore it, not to feel it.
Like the Gemara says, somebody does continuous sin, it becomes to him like hergel, it becomes like something that's normal for him. That's the way he's a pathological liar, and it just becomes something that's natural for him. But there is something, we call it the pintaliyid, something that's bothering him deep inside. He's more comfortable with it. Nasa lo keheter.
Okay.
To get mushchat, he calls it. It says, Teva nefesh anoshit, the nature of a human soul, he lalechet b'derech yashar. It's the same way we should be healthy naturally, we should also walk, a straight path naturally. When someone veers off that road, when he sins, sin, the word chet, we know in the army, lachti et hamatara means he made a mistake. It means to miss the target. Im nafsho adayin lo nishchata legamre, which is what you were speaking about. If his nefesh is still not completely corrupted, hariachush, the sensitivity hazeh, shalayashut, of feeling of doing what's right, mat'ivet livo, it makes him feel what you said before, shame, or it bothers him. Vumit mogeh bekev, it actually hurts him that he acted improperly, that he insulted somebody, that he didn't act in the straight way, which he knows is correct. Vumis dares, and he picks himself up. Lashuv, he wants to latakena muvat, to fix what he corrupted. Arash yagish, until he feels kinim chacheto, that he got rid of this mistake, this miss that he did, his sin. Chelek zeh shel hatshuva, but this type of tshuva u'mesubach harbe mod. It's very complicated. Sometimes you feel like you should you should protect somebody that doesn't deserve protection, or vice versa. You use gvura where, or you feel like you should have rachamim on somebody and you shouldn't have rachamim, or vice versa. It's very complicated to know when is the yashar type of a way.
Right.
Taluihu b'tnaim rabim. There are many different tnaim. Pnimim v'chitzonim. right? Whether that means inner t'naim inside of a person and outside, but it means from other people that affect it, or outside factors or more like superficial factors. Veishbo kama darchatad, you could be tricked into different ways of what's correct, of different types of, we should let everything go. That, be extremely liberal, or, like that would be the right thing to do, or, there's many ways that someone could be tricked in trying to be what is called yashar, not really in line with himself of what is the direct way to do things. Shechova yili shamarm, therefore we have to be careful when dealing with this category of tshuva. And how do you be careful? By using the Torah as your instruction manual, because, physically we know what doesn't feel good, you could just fix it. But here, you're like, maybe I should do chesed all day long and not worry about myself, or whatever it may be, and, it's not correct, or he's mavaz bez yoter michomesh, or whatever it may be.
I think that war is a very good example. You go to the battlefield and you shoot down a building, the tank, or you shoot at somebody, and in that moment, like before you got there, if you're a healthy person, so you have this on one hand you have this gvura that you're saving Am Yisrael, and you're right, and it's like that is that yashar, right? Like, and then on the other hand, like you're shooting somebody, and now if they're coming to shoot you, and so you're shooting them, fine. But if it's somebody who's not where they're supposed to be, and they look like they're up to something not so good, and you get an order and you shoot them, or you decide that it's the right thing, and you believe it's the right thing, and you feel like, okay, did I do something good? Did I not do something good? And let's say you did something good because it's what needed to be done, right? It's the right decision. Now, like, how are you supposed to feel about that? You can tell yourself all these weird stories of justifying or saying that you're not okay, or you could have just done this, and all these like second guessing, all these thoughts.
It gets confusing what he's saying. You need the Torah for that.
Exactly. How are you supposed to know? And interacting with people in a job environment, somebody acts in a certain way, and you think maybe you need to fire them, or maybe you shouldn't, or you need to recommend this to them, or
it'll be like in the army, if you see somebody steal somebody or doing something against the law. It's a very conflict that most soldiers go through. Like, do you tattletale on your friend or not? But actually, if you don't, he's risking the lives of other soldiers and people's lives, and it would be the right thing to do at that time, and it's very difficult. Thank God for the Torah, because I don't even know what you're thinking now, what's going behind me, but we know which shoe to put on first, which arm to wash first in the shower. Thank God for halacha and Torah. We could be doing the right thing at every moment with the guidebook of the Torah.
Right.
It's instructions. So it is tricky, but, we definitely have this, what he called here, the Musar Klayot, the Derech Yashar, but it's tricky, to figure out. Sometimes you know it naturally, but you have to check it, with the Sefer, with the Torah.
Right. I would say, even with the Torah, sometimes it can still feel complicated, because even if with the Torah tells you what to do, it doesn't necessarily tell you if what you're feeling is a good feeling or not, because there's this mix of an initial musar klayot, and then the motivation somebody has from fulfilling a moral law. Right? Somebody who's told this is good, and it's told them it enough times, whatever it is, you can feel good doing things that maybe once you would feel were against your musar klayot. And so in the journey of taking on the laws of the Torah, and then you're so committed to the Shulchan Aruch, right? So much so that there's like a story of Rav Shlomo Zalman. He saw this older fellow on Shabbat carrying a bench with two younger people walking behind him. And he went up to the younger people and said, "What? Like, who's that, and why is he carrying a bench? Why are you guys not helping him?" Like, that's our father, but we accept the chumrah of not being metaltel in Rishut Rabim. And there's this reality where this father is like sweating, carrying this, and Shlomo Zalman was like so disturbed by it that the father's carrying the huge bench by himself on Shabbat, and the sons are walking behind and they're relaxing. And so they feel good about what they did, sort of, or maybe they could tell themselves, I don't have to worry about this. It's not emotionally, I don't have to worry because I'm protected by the Torah. I'm doing my chumrah of tiltul. Now, I don't know, I'm not going into the halachic sugya, but still, even beside the halachic,
it's something much deeper than that.
Yeah, like what's supposed to be.
I just want to bring out this piece here from another sefer from Rav Kook here about what we're talking about right now. It's a sefer called Kanfei Ruach. Also, it's a book about tshuva as well. And Rav Kook really says something over here in Keta Daled in a sefer called Kanfei Ruach, which is a likit of a lot of his gathering of a lot of his words of tshuva. He speaks, "Ha'adam ha'yashar tzrich lamin b'chayav." A person needs to believe in himself. Klomar shamim b'chayei atzmo, has to believe in the power of his life force, v'hargashav, and his emotions. Ha'ochot b'derech yeshara, that he actually walks in a straight way. Miyesod nafsho, it's the foundation of his soul. Shem tovim yesharim, you are a good person. Shem molichim b'derech yeshar, and he walks in a straight path. And this next line here is mind-blowing. HaTorah tzricha shetiyeh ner leraglo. The Torah needs to be the light which guides you. Shayada, through the Torah, in the different mitzvot, right? Yired hamakom, you could see the places shama ta'ut Allah. It helps you from making mistakes. Shalifamim teita nefesh, your nefesh can make a mistake, it could fall b'to lo derech, on the wrong way. Aval hamamira tmidi, the true pillar, which is constant, which is to guide you, tzarich liyot bitachon nafshi. Someone needs to trust himself. Muchuyev lamin, he has to believe that his neshama, Elokit shriya, because he's got godliness inside of him. Shatzmut kulo, he otecham Torah. You're part of the Torah. So this really was mind-blowing for me, because this is, the Torah is actually just ner leraglo. It's the guidebook for making mistakes. But the mamidat midi is, one has to believe that, I'm thinking straight. So it is quite confusing, because he's saying here that, that one really needs to believe in the way, like where Shlomo Zalman saw this guy, like, I know this is what the Torah says here, but, my neshama is telling me something, so maybe I misunderstood, the Torah a little bit. So that's a tricky subject over here.
Yeah.
But this book really speaks about bitachon atzmi, that someone is yashar.
Right.
The Torah guides you from not to make mistakes.
100%. I believe that. I think that the place where I've experienced that confidence in my life the most is my capability to not take on the status quo in the definition of what it means to be good in society, to push that limit. I think that there's a certain benefit of being absorbed in a certain environment, like an yeshiva environment, but then there's sometimes, I think what's holding people back from growth often is in taking that next step of really bringing themselves, really expressing their neshama, is feeling, because they have to, at some point they have to step away from what everyone else is doing in some variants, and take certain steps in what they learn, not be part exactly of the Seder and yeshiva, or and whether it's in the community. And that's something that I would say that this reminds me of an idea that the Chatam Sofer, when he addresses the idea of Chassidut. Chassidut was coming up in a similar generation of the Chatam Sofer in Europe. And he was asked about it. And he says that he doesn't like the idea of Tenuat Chassidut, because he thinks that Chassidut is supposed to be something that is true to the individual, meaning each person is supposed to try to be a Chassid in how they feel.
It's a unique way.
In his unique way of what Hashem wants them to be a Chassid in. And if you have a community of Hasidim and they're all just trying to copy the Rebbe, so it's missing the purpose of Hasidut, which is to take that next step beyond the base, and you need to have that confidence. That's what it reminds me of. I think
this is really if we were going to end soon, I would say this is really a summary of what Rav Kook is. Rav Kook was mainstream Talmid Chacham, studied Volozhin, I believe, right? And he, but yet at the same time, he's trailblazing new ways in every area of Torah, how to study Torah, how to look at other Jews, how to look at at secular Jews, how to look at Sinat Chinam into a positive light that people before him did not look that way. And he really went with his bitachon atzmi and created a revolution of a revolution in the way to see life in Torah and light and love and everything that wasn't there before. Which if he would have just followed the status quo of how people read Torah, it would have been we would still be maybe learning Galut Torah.
Right.
But here we are learning Rav Kook and Eretz Yisrael, this new trailblazing definitions which have changed my life and countless others.
Yeah, mine as well. Excellent. That was an excellent summary, and thank you so much for this. And I'm looking forward to next time.
Okay.
And thank you guys for learning with us. I'm looking forward to next time.
Okay, shkoyach.